Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Fantasy Points Projection Show here at fantasypoints.com. I'm Joe Dolan with Graham Barfield, Tom Brawley, and John Hansen, of course, as we go through just an initial discussion of every game on the slate here. We're back to 15 games this week, much to the chagrin of some, if we're putting numbers in, but certainly not to the chagrin of people who need to fill fantasy lineups after last week's some of the disasters that we had going last week. Hi, guys. You know what? We're a little late here, so I'm going to just get right into it. Let's talk Packers and Cardinals on Thursday night. And the question is, of course, will the Packers have football players available by Thursday night? Big news, of course, today. Davante Adams yesterday was on the COVID list. Alan Lazard today on the COVID list. Lazard is out. He's apparently unvaccinated. So even though he hasn't tested positive because he was a close contact, he is out. So Adams apparently can get cleared. Adams can, Lazard cannot. So
yeah,
I wouldn't expect to have either of them, frankly.
Well, Adams would have to test negative tomorrow and Wednesday, right? Or today and Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, it seems doable, but a couple of weeks ago, they got the test result for Gerald Everett back too late. The second one, remember? So, I mean,
yeah, I was worried last night. Schefter during halftime was saying that, you know, the Packers are, the news about Davante Adams came out, and he said basically that there's going to be a couple more guys to drop, and I was like, oh boy, that's not good. So we might get some more here tomorrow.
Well, we got Equinemius.
Taylor already has it, by the way.
What's that, Joe?
I think Malik Taylor already has it. Like he's on this too.
I saw something on him too.
John, I wrote this up in the oh no, he came off. Okay, so Malik Taylor's off. He actually came off it today. But John, I wrote this up in the Vantage Points that's going to go up on the when we get the Game Hub up. I wouldn't be shocked if like Rodgers just pumps 10 targets to Randall Cobb this week.
Yeah.
Like no Adams. Like, and by the way, Cobb just played a season high snap share in week 7.
Oh, I thought there was something going on there about 3 weeks ago. Then it went away.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, let me pull this up. I think the Cardinals have been really bad to slot receivers, but Cobb, Tom, you said you think Cobb's going to play.
Yeah, he said his press conference was before the news came out, but I'm sure like Schefter was referring to it last night that they knew Lazard was a close contact.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to be playing in different situations, and then he was pumping up Amari Rodgers. So my thinking is he's a veteran. He knows how to play everywhere.
Yeah,
he might be the guy moved to the perimeter, and Rodgers plays the slot. So
Graham, through last week, they were giving up the 4th most points out of slot.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to use a big rotation with all of them. Equinemius will probably get mixed in here. I mean, just got to hope that MVS comes back to give them as long as he doesn't have a setback or anything here the next game or two.
Rodgers could always throw it 12 times to Aaron Jones.
Yeah, it might be a thing.
I put that in Slack. Jones' splits without Adams are just like ludicrous. He's averaged 29 fantasy points per game with Adams out, and then like 16 and a half when Adams played.
For whatever reason, they scored like, I was looking back at the games against the Saints and the Falcons, 2 games he missed last year, and they scored like 70 points in those games. Like everybody went off in those games, even with Adams out of the lineup. But you know, this is a little tougher matchup against a pretty good Cardinals team here.
Yeah,
by the way,
they have been the worst matchup for tight ends all year. Now
they haven't faced anybody.
I've looked. Yeah, I looked at that earlier today, John. They have not faced anybody good.
The best one they faced, John, is Higbee.
Yeah, the Browns.
Yeah, the best one.
Yeah, okay.
They faced Ferkser and Johnny Munt, Ross Dwelly with no Kittle.
And the Cardinals.
I mean, they do have Simmons and Colin. I mean, they got some athletes, you know. Anyway,
there was a couple plays last week where Isaiah Simmons and Danny Amendola were chirping, and Simmons like towers over him like the freaking.
John, I think they have good defenders too, but like they just also haven't played anybody. Onion, you know, I think is gonna have a shot. AJ Dillon played a season low snap share. I honestly think he's been kind of their closer. And, you know, I know they beat Washington by 2 touchdowns, but that was a little deceptive because Washington moved the ball up and down the field. They just couldn't score.
That was such a frustrating game. That game should have gone off. But like Washington was cursed from scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, they just have Dillon's one of these guys where it could work out, but it could not. And
I don't know if I would pick this as a spot, but of course, you know, if they don't have Adams and Lazard, then it might have to be a spot where they run the ball. So just a weird kind of game. Zach Ertz actually ran more routes than Rondale Moore this week.
Wow.
But then here's the problem. Hopkins has a hamstring injury, and he hasn't practiced this week.
But nobody's talking about it. I mean, I don't know. They must not be too worried about it. I mean, there has been nothing about it here.
He's been nursing a couple injuries this year. Right?
He always plays.
Yeah, he always
he
it's
does
just
always
like
play.
it is weird. It's still something that needs to be watched, I think. But I mean, obviously, it's a great match.
Yeah, it's not. They got depth, so it's not like
I mean, don't take away the only Cardinal receiver who you have a chance to project right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a nightmare. Chase Edmonds was back to a full workload, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, he looked.
Yeah,
good.
he came off the injury report on Friday last week, and that must have been a pretty good sign.
That.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina and Atlanta. Well, Kyle Pitts has arrived. How many tight ends do you feel better about than him? One? None?
None right now, maybe.
It's amazing
None?
what 2-3 weeks can change.
Yeah. Ridley, John, I think
he's going to do better than Hawkinson at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I mean, sure. He might be the tight end one by the end of the year if Kelsey doesn't pick it up.
Well, I mean, it was always going to take a little bit of time for Pitts to get going to, 5 weeks in.
5 weeks. That's all. That's all it took. A month.
Ridley had to take a mental break, John. Did you see that?
Oh, wow. Man, that's been prevalent in the league. Isn't that Lane Johnson too?
Lane Johnson too.
Who else is there? There was somebody at the beginning of the year too. I can't remember.
All of a sudden, Kenyon Drake's going to need a mental break like every 3 weeks. Guys start abusing that shit.
There's still something, does not right, but you still have to play Ridley because he gets such huge target volume. Russell Gage played a lot. Tom, didn't you say that? Tom, he played a lot.
He was about 65% of the snaps, I think it was. So the big thing out of that game though was Cordero Patterson. Man, holy shit, he played like 75% of the snaps. Most of them were out wide or in the slot. He was all over the field.
Yeah,
he's the offense. Well, besides Pitts, but he's like the guy that runs the offense now.
I mean, that's the craziest thing is like this offense can really get going here. I mean, between Patterson and if Ridley gets going, I mean, they got 3 guys that like they can do a lot of fun shit with.
Brian's been putting up sneaky good numbers here
for sure.
Yep.
Mike Davis played 60% of the snaps and got 4 touches.
Yeah, he's just out there playing. He's the definition of an empty calorie fantasy asset.
Oh my God, more. Yeah.
Well, I wonder
people who track snaps and all the routes. It's like they're like
yeah, John. There was a lot of like DFS people who were touting Mike Davis as a play for like the first month, and everybody else was like, everybody on our stream was like, I don't know about that. He's just getting a bunch of empty snaps. That's stayed the same.
Yeah, that's good.
I guess McCaffrey could be back this week.
No, I think he's still IR.
One more.
Yeah, he's got one more week.
Yep.
Yeah, because this will be the 3rd game, so he has to.
I believe they have their bye. No, they're late by week 13. I thought they were week 9.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, he's out at least this week.
Yep.
So Sam Darnold's fucked. I mean, it's coincided perfectly with McCaffrey out of the lineup, Darnold going into the tank. Like he doesn't have that guy anymore.
That's quite the turnaround.
Tom, running backs don't matter though. It's Chuba.
No.
He's the same receiver as Christian McCaffrey.
John, Robbie Anderson. I don't know if you saw the stat I came up with.
Oh yeah.